What's the craziest thing that you have done on the last day of school? For most of us, the last day of school is a time for celebration, pranks, and unforgettable memories. But what if I told you that sometimes, the craziest things aren't just fun and games? Today we're diving into a spine-chilling fictional tale that takes the excitement of the final school bell and twists it into a story of unexpected horror. Join us as we explore a terrifying story where one school's last day became a nightmare. This is a tale you won't want to miss. Chapter 1: The Last Bell. I sat at my desk, tapping my pencil nervously as I watched the clock tick down the final minutes of the school year. The classroom buzzed with excitement and chatter as everyone eagerly anticipated the freedom of summer. It was a bittersweet moment, knowing this was the last time we'd all be together in this room. Mrs. Carter, our teacher, tried to maintain some semblance of order, but even she couldn't hide her smile. Beside me, Amy leaned over, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "So, are we really going to do it?" she whispered. I glanced at Mark and Jason, who were sitting across the room already packing their bags. They caught my eye and gave me a thumbs up. I nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. "Yeah, we're doing it." Our plan to explore the Hawthorne mansion had been hatched a few weeks earlier, during one of our usual hangouts after school. Amy, always the adventurous one with a fearless spirit, loved mysteries and was always dragging us into her wild schemes. She had an insatiable curiosity and a knack for convincing us to join her in her escapades. Mark, the practical joker with a fearless attitude, immediately jumped on board. He lived for the thrill and never backed down from a dare. His bravado and humor often masked his own fears, making him the life of any adventure. Jason, the quiet thinker of our group, had his reservations, but eventually agreed, intrigued by the mansion's history and the potential to uncover something remarkable. He often played the role of the skeptic, providing a logical perspective that balanced out Amy's impulsiveness and Mark's recklessness. As for me, I was somewhere in between, excited but apprehensive about what we might find. The thought of venturing into the mansion, rumored to be haunted and shrouded in mystery, sent shivers down my spine. Despite my reservations, I couldn't back down now. The thrill of the unknown was too tempting. Chapter 2: The Dare. The bell rang, and the students rushed out of the classroom, our laughter echoing through the hallways. I and my friends, Amy, Mark, and Jason, gathered in the schoolyard, backpacks slung over our shoulders. The sun shone brightly, casting long shadows on the grass. "Ready for an adventure?" Mark asked, grinning. "Ready as I'll ever be," I replied, trying to hide my nerves. We bolted out of the classroom, our laughter echoing through the hallways as we made our way to the schoolyard. The sun shone brightly, casting long shadows on the grass. It was a perfect day for exploring. Clear skies, a gentle breeze, and the promise of freedom hanging in the air. That day we told our parents that we will spend the day in Mark's house that day. Mark's house was the closest of all of us from the mansion, and also his parents had gone out of town for 2 days. Mark was aware of this when we were making the plan of exploring the mansion, so this was already part of our plan. In the schoolyard, we gathered to discuss the dare. Mark and Jason regaled us with creepy stories about the mansion, including the mysterious disappearance of Dr. Jonathan Hawthorne, the mansion's original owner. Despite our nerves, curiosity won out, and we set off towards the edge of town, eager to uncover the secrets of the old mansion. With our hearts pounding in sync, we started our journey to the mansion. Chapter 3: The Walk. The sun hung low in the sky as we stepped out of the school gates, backpacks slung over our shoulders. The last bell had rung, and the air buzzed with excitement, the kind that only the promise of summer freedom could bring. Amy, Mark, Jason, and I were bound by a shared secret: the dare to explore the Hawthorne mansion. We strolled through the empty streets of downtown, our footsteps echoing off the brick facades. The town seemed to hold its breath, as if aware of our impending adventure. Amy chattered about the mansion's legends, her eyes alight with curiosity. She loved mysteries, and this one was ripe for unraveling. Mark, always the joker, teased Jason about his skepticism. "Come on, Jason," he said, nudging him. "You don't believe in ghosts, do you?" Jason adjusted his glasses, his analytical mind at work. "I believe in facts," he replied, "but I'm open to discovering something beyond our textbooks." As we left the town behind, the forest enveloped us. Ancient trees stood sentinel, their leaves whispering secrets. The path narrowed, and the sunlight dappled the ground. I glanced at Amy, who walked ahead, her ponytail bouncing. She was our fearless leader, the one who'd convinced us that the mansion held answers. Answers we didn't even know we sought. Mark, ever the daredevil, recounted ghost stories he'd heard from his older brother. "They say Dr. Hawthorne vanished without a trace," he said. "One moment, he was here. The next, poof." Amy rolled her eyes. "More like he stumbled upon a hidden treasure and vanished with it." "But what if," Mark said, lowering his voice, "he discovered something beyond our understanding? Something cosmic?" Jason raised an eyebrow. "Like a gateway to other realms?" We laughed, but the laughter didn't quite reach our eyes. The mansion loomed ahead, its silhouette visible through the gaps in the foliage. Its windows were like empty eyes, staring into eternity. And so, with the Hawthorne mansion before us, we stepped inside. A band of curious souls, bound by curiosity and the thrill of the unknown. Chapter 4. Entering the Mansion. The Hawthorne mansion loomed before us, its once grand facade now a testament to decay. Ivy clung to the walls like forgotten memories. We gathered at the entrance, our breaths visible in the chill of anticipation. We pushed the heavy door, its hinges groaning in protest. The foyer swallowed us, an expanse of cracked marble and faded tapestries. The air smelled of dampness and secrets. Mark's flashlight swept over the creaky floors, revealing dust motes dancing in its beam. "Welcome to our haunted adventure," Mark quipped, but his bravado couldn't mask the unease in his eyes. Jason adjusted his glasses, scanning the shadowy corners. "Let's explore methodically," he said. "Document everything." We stepped into the first room, a parlor frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture stood like silent witnesses. Faded portraits adorned the walls, stern-faced men and elegant women, their eyes following us. Who were they? What stories did they carry? Amy traced her fingers along a cracked mirror. "Imagine the lives lived here," she whispered. "Secrets whispered behind closed doors." Chapter 5. Exploring the First Floor. The Hawthorne mansion's first floor unfolded before us. A labyrinth of faded elegance and forgotten secrets. The air clung to our skin, as if reluctant to release its memories. Amy led the way, her footsteps echoing off the marble tiles. Mark cracked jokes, but even his laughter couldn't dispel the heaviness that hung in the air. We stepped carefully over the creaky floorboards of the Hawthorne mansion, my friends close behind. The first floor was a maze of rooms filled with shadows and dust. It felt like an adventure, but every so often, a chill would run down my spine. We wandered through room after room. A cracked mirror reflected our ghostly forms, and a moth-eaten coat hung on a rusted hook. The mansion held remnants of a life interrupted, a symphony frozen mid-note. We found old furniture scattered around, their surfaces etched with the names of those who dared to enter before us. The walls were a canvas of graffiti, and I wondered about the stories they could tell. There was a strange feeling in the air, like the mansion was holding its breath. Sometimes, the temperature would drop so suddenly, it was as if the house itself was shivering. We stumbled upon a study that seemed frozen in time. A heavy desk sat in the middle, piled with books and maps that spoke of Dr. Hawthorne's journeys to far-off lands. The room was silent. The only sound was our own breathing and the distant whisper of the wind against the windows. Mark chuckled. Maybe he found Atlantis or a unicorn. But the atmosphere weighed on us, the heaviness of forgotten history. We explored further, finding nothing particularly unusual, yet the mansion held its breath. The Hawthorne mansion was more than decay. It was a puzzle waiting to be solved. And beyond the first floor, the forgotten lighthouse stood, a beacon to other worlds, guarded by ancient forces. Our adventure had just begun. Chapter 6. Discovering the Secret Room. The basement yawned before us, an abyss of darkness and anticipation. The air clung to our skin, thick with secrets. Mark's flashlight trembled as he pointed toward a hidden door, its edges blending seamlessly with the stone wall. "Jake," Mark said, his voice half joking, "you go first. It's only fair." I swallowed my nerves and pushed the door. It groaned, revealing a narrow passage. The walls bore strange symbols, ancient glyphs etched by hands long gone. As we descended, the air grew colder, and the oppressive weight intensified. The secret room awaited, a chamber untouched by time. Rusted machinery stood like forgotten sentinels, their purpose lost to history. Strange contraptions with gears and levers whispered of Dr. Hawthorne's obsessions. And there, against the far wall, an ancient chest beckoned. Its wood was weathered, its lock intricate. Amy traced her fingers over the carvings, a cryptic language that defied translation. Mark dared me to open it, his eyes wide with curiosity. Inside, artifacts spilled forth, maps, faded photographs, and a leather-bound journal. Dr. Hawthorne's journal. Its pages held ink from another era, secrets inked in desperation. And at the bottom, a riddle. 3 stars align at midnight's veil, where the lighthouse casts its shadow. Seek the forgotten path. The key lies in the heart of the storm. Whispers echoed, faint but insistent. The Hawthorne mansion held more than decay. It held an ancient mystery, one that would lead us beyond realms we dared not imagine. That's it for the first part of the story. Do you want to know what happens next on their journey? What did the riddle on the bottom of the chest mean? What is it that Dr. Hawthorne had discovered? What ancient secret would they stumble upon? I know you have a lot of questions. If you want answers to the questions, then like the video, subscribe the channel, and hit the bell notification to get notified as soon as the part 2 releases. Thanks for watching.